Yo, welcome to the first episode, the first proper episode of Doing It the Hard Way with Kenny Hamlet. I've got, I'm gonna call you a homie now. I feel like
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
maybe,
That's fair.
maybe not where we started, but that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
It's my homie, Jonathan Wilkins, also known as Black Duck Revival, a dope ass hunter. I'm gonna say outdoorsman, dope ass outdoorsman, a proper chef and just all around a dope ass dude. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, hello, Kenny.
So the point of this podcast is to talk with folks that are living life and doing it the hard way. I feel like you often, like anytime I talk to you, I just hear the craziest stories from you. It's like you're selling scrap metal, you're doing what the story of collecting the carcasses. You bought a bunch of carcasses so that you can boil them down and sell the skulls and stuff like that. Why do you do it?
Uh, I mean, you got to provide a little context here, man. So, I've kind of reached the point now where I would say I was just talking to a buddy of mine about that this morning. I've reached the point where I would, describe myself as, primarily as a writer who does a bunch of other stuff to make ends meet, right? So, because like the written word does not pay what it once did. Uh, so, have you ever seen that? You ever seen that movie Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe? And they asked this dude why he's fighting. He's coming out of retirement to fight, and he's like, "For milk, man. Like I'm doing it to buy milk. Like I got a family I got to take care of, right?"
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm doing stuff like that. Also, I have an extreme aversion, and I've tried, man, but I just have an extreme aversion to. I think uh, a lot of the conventional ways of making a living. I think you abdicate a lot of your personal freedom and personal autonomy.
Yep.
And you have to listen to some. That quote about like that most men lead lives of quiet desperation, right? Which to me is it's like the definition of like somebody in some corporate middle management job.
Yep.
And they're beat down by their job and they're beat down by their family and their kid playing travel ball and all that stuff. And so then they're taking they take that banal malaise out on you because they've got just a tiny little bit more power than you in this dumb organization that makes widgets or whatever.
Yep.
And it's just I'm just not willing to subject myself to that. I've also got a lot of my own ideas about how things should be done, and passions that I want to pursue. And so, ultimately, all that is to say that like people think of an artist as like a painter, but like an artist is just a person, some sort of creative storyteller.
Yeah.
So like writing or painting or I mean, I don't know. I mean, really artistry is an approach to life. And so the truth of the matter is that it's very rare to make everything you need to have like to pay for everything in your life through artistry. Right? So if you're going to commit yourself to saying I'm an artist, that means you're going to have to do other things. So I just do blue collar stuff, right? Because that's it's something. I mean, I like doing it. I like working with my hands. It kind of provides me a level of freedom that I think a lot of people don't have. So that might be like I'm trying to think stuff I've done this past like since January, man. I've done the trim work in a hunting cabin. I've hauled a bunch of scrap metal. I've done a bunch of landscaping jobs. Uh, I've done like private chef stuff. I've written a bunch of magazine articles. Uh, Other stuff I'm sure I'm forgetting. But you just like hustle to make ends meet, and then like the scrapping thing, like people, it's funny because I think people really like kind of like, oh my god, this
You're just
desperation.
drawn
And
to it.
it's not at all, man. It's
No, I'm not saying that you're drawn
it's
to it.
like
I think as us as viewers are that people that hear the stories are like, damn, this dude is like he's dedicated to be able to live
well,
the life that
yeah,
he wants to live by nobody else's
people
standards.
I think people see like hauling scrap metal
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, man, that's like the dregs, right? And it's, dude, you know, maybe I go, like, I found a pile. Someone just dumped a bunch of stuff like 3 blocks from my house. I just pulled up there in my truck, man. I was there for maybe like 5 minutes, drove
Yeah.
2 miles up the road,
Yep.
scrapped it, recycled it. It's like literally I'm cleaning up junk. Um, Doing something beneficial to the environment, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this whole reduce, reuse, recycle, circulative narrative, and I got like $100 or something for, moments of work.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times it's harder than that, but uh, I think especially today too. And I was telling the kid this, there is as this disconnect between like tactile work and
Mm-hmm.
income
Mm-hmm.
and modernity becomes like more expanded in this country, just being willing to do things that I think a lot of folks think are hard or unpleasant or beneath them.
Yep.
There's a tremendous amount of resource in that. So, I mean, I could do a lot of other stuff, but I mean, I'd be lying if I told you. It's like a treasure hunt, man. I find cool stuff. I drive around. I wear my headset. I talk to my homies.
Yeah.
It gives me a bunch of freedom and time to take my kids to the doctor or go to their plays or
Mm-hmm.
cook dinner at night or like have a giant garden. And I mean, like my whole front yard right now, I took my whole front yard out, and I live in the middle of Little Rock, but I live on maybe, I don't know, probably an acre and a half of land. And
Okay.
like the whole front yard is like rows of corn and beans and okra and collard greens and stuff, and
Dang.
chickens in the backyard. And
It's
dude, yeah.
I think it's dope because I like for me I'm drawn to it because it's like the life that I secretly wish that I could live, and I'm trying to figure out how to get there. Where you grow your own food, you're making art for the sake of making art. Like you're not choosing to chase writing as a way to pay your bills so that you could write the things that you actually want to write. You're like, I'm just gonna write the things that I want to write, and I'm gonna grow my own food, and I'm gonna do things. And some of those things may have like be out of necessity, but also it's so you could just like live as genuinely free as possible while still living under the standard of like capitalism in America. So there's something beautiful about that. It feels like it's like one of the most punk rock things you can do at this point in life.
Yeah, man, and it's just, dude, I'm just trying to live like an authentic life, and I've got all that stuff. I want to be a free American. I want to have like rampant self-determination.
Yeah.
And I'm not living in a hovel. Like I've got a house that I think is dope, but I got it because I didn't buy a move-in ready house. I bought a house that was foreclosed on that had been empty for 3 years. And I
Yeah.
gutted that joker and did all the work myself and like built my own countertops and stuff. And
Dang.
because it's doable. Like, dude, anything some other dude did, you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like legit, anything somebody else did, you could do. Doesn't mean it'll be easy. It might be harder. Some stuff might be harder than other things for you, but you're totally capable of doing all that. And I think that we've been tricked.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fear mongering. Society tells you can't do this. Society tells you that you have to be dependent on these systems. And I'm not saying that I'm not dependent on community or systems or other people, because we all
Mm-hmm.
are. Like we're all part of that. Like we all have networks. But like, dude, I mean, you live in Portland, right?
Yep.
Dude, you could live in Portland in like say just like a modest house, right? So I'm sure like a modest house in Portland costs $10 million, right? But you could live in just like a regular house, and you could have a garden, right? You grow lettuce and tomatoes and some cucumbers and stuff. You
Yeah.
could have a couple of chickens get some eggs. You could, you could dedicate some time during the fall to trying to go get a blacktail or kill an elk or get a bear or something in the springtime. Maybe you can't live off of, I mean, I'm at a kind of a weird extreme level, but like, dude, you could supplement, everybody could supplement. Hell, you could just cook dinner for yourself and not DoorDash that shit, man. And right now, that would make you a stud, So, we all like have to wrestle with what we have and what we have access to and our ability levels. But yeah, everybody's capable of that stuff. And there's like cooking a meal is better. It tastes better because there's personal validation involved in it, right? And then you up the letter by saying that like I put effort into getting the protein. I put effort into like growing the beans. Like my little girls have to weed our garden and they
Yeah.
don't like it. They were complaining about it this morning, but they got to do it. And then I came back in or I was doing some stuff. I went back to them. I was like, y'all weeded the garden. Y'all didn't even look, did you? I was like, there's beans. We got these beans. It's like Appalachian variety called rattlesnake beans.
Yeah.
It's kind of long pole bean with this green and purple variegation on it, real pretty. I was like,
Okay.
there's beans all over there. Dude, they were stoked out there just eating raw beans.
Yeah.
It's they could literally right now, I can make dinner for them. I'll make dinner for them tonight, and they could have, they could have like, we could do just like alligator hamburger steaks and rattlesnake beans and some rice and a little simple pan gravy. And, depends on how you look at it. If I sell that to you as a farm to table organic American meal, that's
That's
a
a
$50
$45,
plate.
$50 meal. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I can sell it to you as like poor folk food. I mean, it's all your perspective. It tastes really
Yeah.
good either way.
Yeah.
So,
Where did the drive come from that? Like, were you always interested in this? Because I know you went from being a musician before, which obviously has its own, I think, like journey of like chasing the dream, and you kind of give up a lot of like, give up a lot of the like normal things that people chase after, which is like the 9 to 5 job, the comfort in knowing that you have a paycheck every week type of thing. Like, where does that come from for you? Because now it's like you spend a lot of your time doing things so you can get out and hunt, like the Aoudad hunt you recently went on, and being able to like write about those journeys. So like, what is it for you that like really makes you want to do that?
man, my dad told me I remember he told me when I was a kid, he's like, you just have to, you're a person who has to learn things the hard way. Like, I don't take I trust people's expertise and advice, but I need experience, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I also am like really process driven. So it's like, learn to hunt ducks, learn to call ducks, like learn to call ducks well, learn to
Yeah.
find hard ducks, start carving decoys, learn how to turn a call on a lathe, right? Like all of that stuff. Yeah, I think it's just, I think a lot of that is just innate, and also it's a way I've kind of made a way for myself by finding value in stuff that other people overlooked or don't see value in, right? And that goes hand in hand with like what you're talking about. Me, pretty much for my entire adult life, except for like, I tried having a quote unquote real job a couple times, but like, yeah, foregoing this financial security, which people's circumstances are different, but I think a lot of people are motivated by fear, right?
Yeah.
And I think most people just aren't cut out for the uncertainty. And I get that because, man, sometimes it grinds on you, dude.
Yeah.
Like fixing everything yourself. Like when something breaks, you got to fix it out of necessity. But that builds a skill set and that builds resiliency, right? And to the point that like, it's not that I'm not unbeatable, man, but I'm hard to starve.
Yeah.
I'm hard to, I can take an ass whooping, but I'm hard to lick totally,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I drove to Texas. I got up, truck tire was flat, trailer tire was flat, trailer wires didn't work. It was 100 degrees outside by 11. I rewired the trailer lights. I got a plug kit in my glove box. I plugged the tires. I drove 9 hours to South Texas. I worked all day, got all this stuff done. Cooked a nice meal. Woke up the next morning, had to like haul this weird rotary cutter, this like $30,000 piece of excavating equipment. Had to haul that over 3 hours to a town, drop that, go to Austin because I left my podcast stuff in Austin last weekend. Pick that up, drive 10 hours back home. Trailer lights broke on me twice. You know, my wife called me. The truck wouldn't start. She just dropped the kid off. I'm like, pop the hood, try this, try that. It's a loose battery terminal. It's exhausting, man, but it just turns disasters into inconveniences. Because really, man, like the actual answer is it's either an inconvenience and you can work through it, or you're fucked. And if you're fucked, you can't do anything about it anyway.
So why care? Yeah. Like, why am I going to stress myself out?
Well, not don't care, but
yeah.
It's like people have asked me, like, how do you drive a 25-year-old vehicle across the country? I was like, because it's either going to break or it's not. Which is the same thing that'll happen in a new vehicle. It'll either work or it won't work.
Oh man, I'm the same because I'm the same. I got a '94 F-150, and I'm waiting for like a slide on that I bought, and I'm getting ready to drive it not across the country, but quite a ways this year for duck hunting, because I'm like, I just want to go meet people, see what it's like in other places, and go hunt with other folks. And I feel like the gator hunt was kind of like the lead way to that for me, like being able to see you do it and see like a true outdoorsman. And I swear to God, I think like to see you go from, like, in my mind, I'm just like, oh, this is the waterfowl guy. Like he's gonna go get geese and he's gonna shoot waterfowl. And then I started learning about you with the turkeys, and then I started learning about you with black bear, and then you're talking about trapping, and then it's now it's gators. And I'm like, how the hell is this guy doing it? like how is he able to figure all of it out? And
somebody else did it, you know, dude. I never caught an alligator until like September 10th of last year. I caught 11 last year,
which is nuts. Like what made you feel like you could do it?
Because I've done a bunch of other stuff that was harder than that. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like I was talking to this guy that had caught a bunch of gators. He was trying to tell me all these specificities and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, ultimately, I mean, you saw it. It's not an incredibly technically difficult process.
Yeah.
It's an augmentation of how I catch catfish. It's bigger tackle. It's, more dangerous prey or whatever. But, mm-hmm. He was trying to horn in on it a little bit. Right. And I said, look, I get what you're saying, but at some point, like, catching critters is catching critters.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure it out. And there was a couple little bumps, but I figured it out.
I mean, you tagged out, right? Like you used every single tag on that property, and that was your first year doing it.
Yeah. And look, a lot of stuff went my way. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm like Superman. I'm just saying that it's, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and one of my strengths probably lies in, the hubristic notion that if I set my mind to something, I can do it. Which I think most people could have. And the deal is that, and I try and tell my kids all the time, because I think a lot of people see me as like incredibly confident and like never scared, and that's total shit, man. I'm like racked with self-doubt. I'm racked with fears. The only thing I've got that maybe some people don't have is I don't let being afraid stop me. I just will do things while I'm afraid.
Were you always that way, or did it just take time to build up to that?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm racked with self-doubt, man. I've got all sorts of anxieties, and I want people to think I'm cool and smart and handsome and infallible, and it's not the truth at all. But again, it's like a skill set. Like if you've never had a flat tire, the first time you get a flat tire, it's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Right? And then if you've never plugged a tire, you're like, oh my goodness, I can just stick this thing in the hole and it worked for another 2 years. Right? And then when you've plugged 100 tires because you've been driving beat up shit cars with used tires on it for the last 15 years, it's like, dude, give me 5 minutes, I'll get this thing rolling again.
Yeah.
It's just experience,
How like what was going through your mind at the end of the gator hunt? Like when you filled all the tags, what was like what was the drive home back from Texas back to Arkansas like?
Just like satiated, like end of a really great meal.
Mm,
That was like, you ever cook Thanksgiving dinner and you're trying to like balance it all and you got people coming over and is the turkey going to come out on time? And it's like everything's down to the wire. And that's kind of how, like, I have so much stuff that's like that. That's how I try and look at stuff. Like
mm-hmm,
I'm going to have to fight every step of the way. It's going to be 1 foot in front of the other every step of the way, but we'll get it done. And like the last night, so you remember like the front of that lodge and you can like look off into the distance, and it hadn't happened the whole time. The sun was going down, real pretty skies there, like this, Monet like paintbrush sky with the sun
mm-hmm.
going down. And dude, they were flaring off like at this oil refinery way in the distance. And so there was this like ball of flame just shooting way up into the sky. And I just like stood out there. I'd got the truck all loaded. I had the trailer ready. All I had to do was take a shower, go to sleep, wake up, and hit the road early. And I just like stood there and looked at it, man. And it just felt like this super poignant, appropriate end to the whole
Mm.
thing. I'd been gone for weeks. I was ready to go back home to my family and see my children and all that. Uh, and look, dude, it's like I was trying to tell you with that gator, that big one we got for you. Like, you got to be willing to lose. You got to be willing to take the butt whooping to get
Mm-hmm.
that good stuff, right? And then I got turkey season this year, man. I was at the depths of despair this turkey season. And I don't mean just like, oh, like I had bad stuff happen to me, man.
Yeah.
I thought like my life was over.
Yep.
And it's just like, just try and make the next right move. And it ended up, bad stuff turned into more positive stuff. And like, you can recover.
Yeah.
Uh,
What are you
so
telling yourself in those moments though? Like what are you saying to just keep putting the one foot in front of the other?
I mean, it's the only thing to do. It's the only thing that you got a chance of getting out of it
Mm.
is to keep trying to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm a human being. Sometimes I sit and waller in my own mess, but after a while you got to stop and get going because it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
Uh, and and also just being in lots of hard situations,
Mm-hmm.
the needle keeps moving. So
Mm-hmm.
like, what would have been, I think a lot about like, man, this would have kicked my ass 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 3 years ago. And now it happened so much. It's just like a 2 on the scale of how awful my life could be. At one point it would have been an 8, you know? Uh, it was, it's like the bugs down there in that property we're talking about are awful,
God, that was the worst bugs
but
I've ever seen in my life.
dude, they were worse the other day, man. I mean, 15 skeeters on every finger. It was, I don't know what was going on.
Oh.
The storm was coming. It was terrible, but it's, it's a pile of inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was. And then, dude, once I finished the day, just sweated through, almost out of light, go inside, get that AC, take a shower. We cooked. My buddy, Brad was there, man. Brad went down there and
Oh,
helped with some
dope.
stuff. And dude, I cooked like seared some duck breasts, had a little uh, veal demi-glace on them, little mashed potatoes, some green beans. Great meal, man. Just perfect cap to the evening. Like, that meal was way better because the whole day was a bunch of hard, hot stuff.
Mm. So you would say like like I feel like for me getting to where I've been, I have these moments where I'm like, what the fuck? Why didn't I just keep my job? Like,
Oh
why
yeah,
did I
yeah.
decide to do this shit? And I keep putting myself further and further and further out to sea. And I'm not dead yet, so I'll just keep going and exploring and see what's on the other side of this ocean. Do you feel like you oftentimes get yourself in moments where you're like, basically like a what the fuck? Like, is this all worth it? And when you do,
Uh,
like,
I
what happens?
I think more. I think I kind of gotten to like the top of that. Like the last 5 years, man, I had a lot of that. I had a lot of that.
Hmm.
I turned down a lot of, opportunities. And then like had some real just like financial, just really low, hard times. And
Hmm.
my wife is a visual artist. So like a lot of people that kind of lean into passion. Like, dude, there's a lot of dudes that lean into passion and their wives are nurses. I've got a
Yeah.
podcast and I interview lots of people, and that's the deal because a nurse makes pretty good living, you
Yep.
know, and so it kind of keeps them afloat. And my wife works very hard, but she's in the same feast and famine cycle that I'm in.
Hmm.
And so, dude, it's all right if one of us is feasting and one of us is in a low spot. When we're both in low spots, dude, it's ST Ruggles.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll go find some money. I
Hmm.
can go find, dude, we gotta pay the kids after school care. We need tires, you know. Like we can come up with money for the parts. I can rebuild the AC system on that truck.
Hmm.
So we'll get it done. And then, we're lucky. I've got access to opportunities, and but yeah, man, that is part of it. Like anybody that tells you that they lead as you called it, an unconventional lifestyle, right?
Hmm.
It's it's a lot of like wondering. And the thing that gives me the most pause is that, I have children. Like I have a baseline, excuse me. I have a baseline of sustenance that I have to maintain
Yep.
because I want my children to have a good quality of life. Uh, but it, that's the other thing. That's another trick.
Hmm.
Like your kids having a good life doesn't mean that you spend $10,000 a year on them to be mediocre in some extracurricular constantly, right? And you spend all of your Saturdays and weekday nights at t-ball practice and all that.
Hmm.
Like my kids have extracurriculars. My kids have tons of enriching, kind of traditional stuff. My
Yep.
kids also spend a tremendous amount of time. I've taken my kids to probably 9 out of 10 of their doctor's appointments.
Mm.
I cook them dinner, 6 nights a week. They get a hot breakfast and a hot dinner,
Dang.
6 to 7 nights a week. Uh, we spend time together. When I was down in Texas catching gators. Like my whole family came down there. I saved the last gator tag for them. Like we caught a gator together. We eat dinner together at night. We, go to the library together. We read together. We do family movie night. Like
Jeez.
all of that stuff. I spend like time with my family. I spend all my time with my family. And then, I don't go and drink in the bar. I don't go to strip clubs. I don't go and do like dudes nights out. I spend all
Hmm.
my time with my family and then I go have like crazy adventures. And
Yeah.
then I come back and I'm with my family. So like I feel like my children have a really great standard of living uh, because I'm not abdicating all that other stuff to other people. Like my kids are with me and my wife and we're together and we're doing stuff and my kids eat vegetables. They're good eaters. They can have intelligent conversations.
Yeah.
They're respectful to adults. Uh, like I'm gonna brag, like, like I got kids in like gifted and talented programs at school, like going to international uh, competitions.
Hmm.
Uh, like they read themselves to bed at night.
Damn.
Just because I just like I'm hoping that they're seeing. Same with my wife. My wife is a muralist.
Hmm.
She does enormous art installations. Like my kids, as an example, are seeing people who are active participants in their own life,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and
Yep.
and
People that
that
get to live and
means
choose their life.
yeah, and also like that. Like I asked my daughters one, like maybe like 6 months ago, we were talking. I was like, "What does a daddy do?" You know, I got a 9-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old daughter, I got a 3-year-old little boy. And my daughters said, they kind of went back and forth. They said, Daddy's fix things, Daddy's hunt, Daddy's cook dinner, Daddy's
Damn.
rub mommy's shoulders when her shoulders hurt.
Damn.
Like, dude, I'm down with that, man. Like, if
Yeah.
that's what you think a father is supposed to do, like, I'm down with that. They didn't say daddies make lots of money, because
Yeah.
most of the time I don't.
But even if you did, I mean, like there's you don't know as a kid anyways. Like you have no clue what like a standard of what like a great standard of living is, because you just live inside of your house, and maybe you can compare to your friends when you're like, oh, well, my friend's dad drives this, or they have that or that. But I think like even just listening to you talk about the way that you've been around for your kids, I'm like, I didn't have that. My dad was fucking, he just went to work. He would come home, he'd sit on the couch, he'd yell at us. like the experience that I had with my dad is very, very different than the experience that your kids get to have with you. And I think that's it's something that I struggle with, because my brother is definitely more active in his kid's life than say my dad would have been with us. And I'm always like, man, you gotta go work more. Like you gotta go do some more shit. And seeing the way that he's come up in life, my brother's kid, now he's doing the same thing your kids are, where it's like highly gifted classes and excelling in life. And so you just get to, I mean, I don't want, you get to rear up this child that then gets to live a better version of life than you do. And they believe that they can really become or do whatever they want to do and be happy.
And that's the thing, dude, is I'm trying to raise them just with possibilities are possible, right? And look, dude, I got a old recliner in my house. I yell at my kids too. Like that's, now I don't hit them, which,
Yeah.
I got whoopings and stuff, and I'm just like, it's for me, it doesn't seem necessary. Sometimes I want to. I understand the impetus to, but that's part of why I don't, because I don't want them to experience violence from me in anger, But look, I'm not wagging my finger at anybody. I'm just saying, I really feel like my kids have a very high standard of living. I mean, really, man, the only thing you could get me on is like that people drive more expensive cars than me. And I think that like I am existentially against that. I think it's dumb to drive $100,000 car that if anything goes wrong with, you're helpless.
You got to take it to a mechanic because you can't do it yourself anymore.
Yeah, can't do anything, man. And the government knows what you're doing and all that. Whatever. We can get in all that conspiracy
We're on the same
stuff.
page with that.
But
There's
like,
a reason why my rigs are 90s.
I mean, yeah, dude. Like, I want stuff that I can work on, and all of this stuff goes hand in hand. But, to me, it's really more about the participation aspect, being a participatory member of your own life. And in whatever way you personally find the most meaningful and self-validating, and you feel like puts the most into the world. And like, I do think we have a responsibility to other people. I do think we have a responsibility to the community. I think we have a responsibility to the world at large. We have all these like niche communities and sub communities and all that. But, yeah, I don't know.
Man, I freaking love it. I feel like it's cool to me to get to have this conversation with you, because I think in the hunt industry, there's maybe not as much of this sort of stuff being put out publicly. Like, I think people have
bunch
these
of phonies, man. And look, it's just the nature of corporate, right? Like, despite what Citizens United said, a corporation is not a person, and a corporation does not have a soul, right? A corporation and public equity and all these catchphrases, right? These are things that have the model of exponential growth. And the only thing in nature that has that model is cancer, right? Because it's designed to consume what supports it. And so, like, being afraid to show failure, right? Lots of like people, influencers, people like they're afraid to show failure. Like you are supposed to fail most of the time in these pursuits.
Yes.
It's like I told you with that gator, man. You gotta be willing to fail. And actually if you could write a perfect script, it's, high expectations, get your butt kicked, get your butt kicked. Oh, maybe get your butt kicked, get your butt kicked. Righteous success.
That is actually it.
That's the best.
Yeah, that's it. And that's like the thing I think that makes people stick with whatever pursuit it is. It's like if you have the success on the front end, you're less likely to end up sticking with it when it actually does become hard. Because at the end of the day, hunting, becoming an artist, I don't give a fuck what it is you're pursuing. Pursuing anything that's not like traditional is going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And so if you get lucky in the beginning before you know what you're doing and you have success, I think you're more likely to just give it up. And then maybe I have a biased opinion because I didn't have any success hunting in the beginning, and I got my first big game kill last year. And so I'm like, I think it's like it's that. I think it's the showing people struggle, having the conversations around struggling and that these things are going to be hard, making people realize that like there's more to this industry than just take. There's a lot there, and I don't necessarily want to get too deep into that conversation because
well, look, dude, just look, you can take it out of the specificity. Just life in general is not supposed to be like purely an exercise in extraction. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was some tongue in cheek stuff that, bunch of phonies. Like, I think it, and I also think I'm being hyperbolic is what I'm saying. Because I've met phenomenal people in the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, being motivated, like you have something, and I've experienced this, like you have something and you're afraid to lose it. Like you're afraid to lose the juice you have. Mm-hmm. You're afraid to lose the access you have. You're afraid to lose the reputation you have. And I think you should, if you build a good reputation, obviously you want to protect that, and you want to be seen as a person of integrity. But to me, that's the most important part is to be a person who's viewed as like living an integral life, and be honest, own your faults. Doesn't mean you have to put every time you mess up, you got to tell the whole world about it. Yeah. But if you kill an impressive big giant elk and you do it on 350,000 closed acres and you paid $25,000 for it and you had a guide, there's still accomplishment in that.
Yeah.
But if you pretend that none of that stuff was going in your favor and that you killed it on the side of a mountain and there was 100 public land hunters at your back trying to get to the same thing, you're being a phony.
Yep.
And just be honest about it. Like I'm catching gators, I'm using private land tags. Right? I'm being honest about that. Yeah. There are tags associated with this property. I have this relationship, this lease, blah, blah. I get access to this stuff. Right? So me catching 11 gators was possible. And when I say I caught, like involved in the catching, that's possible because I had this access.
Yep.
It doesn't make the work less.
Yes.
But you just have to be honest and forthright about it. I've killed 3 bears with a bow and arrow. I've done it all on public land, spot and stalk in the Ouachita Mountains. Right?
Yep.
I'm proud of that. I own that. But man, I got a lot of advice from people, and it took me 5 years. It took me 5 years to find it took me 5 years to find bear sign, and then I got one the next year. And then I had some success. And then I missed one at 19 yards with a muzzle loader. Right? And then I went back in and got one the next year with my bow. It's like you don't have to be perfect. You just have to try and be as integral as you can.
Do you feel like living life the way that you have, do you feel like you've almost missed out on opportunities because of that?
No, I mean, we all have like that FOMO, right? And
Hmm.
I'm not immune to that, but my buddy was talking about, kind of some of this ethos, and he was like, "Man, it's like you get to live a bunch of different lives."
Mm.
Like, man, I've been a professional firefighter. I've roofed houses. I was like a semi-professional musician. I've had a restaurant. I've hauled scrap metal and like been a carpenter and, you know, doing like guiding hunts and putting on these like experiential culinary hunts. And I gotten to write for some of the most impactful legacy magazines in the outdoor space.
Yep.
And, uh, done a little bit of like TV type stuff and travel all over the country. And you could take, in the last 10 years, man, you could take lots of things, one thing I did in a year, and it might be one of the cooler things someone did in their entire life.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
I'm
Like you've
supposed to
gotten to live a
trade,
hell of a life.
I'm supposed to trade all of that for, and here's the thing too, and I tell this story all the time, man, when I was a firefighter, I saw people die constantly of all sorts of
Hmm.
different things, like be murdered, die in their sleep, car accidents, fires,
Hmm.
all sorts of stuff, man. Almost, I don't know that I saw anybody die that had it coming. You
Yeah.
know, like just stuff happened to them,
Yep.
and I'm talking about from brand new into the world to 95 years old.
Hmm.
And so you're not guaranteed any of it. Now, that doesn't mean I think you should do, you know, heroin and throw
Awful
caution to
shit.
the wind, but
Yeah.
uh, I think you should, I think you should chase passion. And I think if
Hmm.
it's your kid's birthday, you should eat a slice of cake. And I think sometimes you should like drink too much wine on a spring day, like with the woman that you love. And you should, uh, stay up too late sometimes. And you should push yourself a little too hard. And then you pay attention and you pull yourself back. And I'm like in the midst of all that, like I think I'm kind of right, I think I've probably got a couple more years till I hit the perfect intersection. But like hitting,
Hmm.
and like you see, I'm messed up right now. I got to go to the doctor. I think I tore ligaments in my wrist.
Dang.
But I think I'm like getting real close to that intersection of physicality and mental fortitude,
Mm.
right? And that'll be like the peak where I haven't hit that, I'm not at my peak,
With
my
a,
physical peak anymore,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that point where you're like brain power and physicality meet. And then both of those are going to start slowing down, right?
Yeah.
And or maybe like the physicality
The
will
physical
definitely,
will start to slow down.
and
The
I'll have to rely
mental's.
more on the mental part, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like I used to play racquetball, like just mess around in college and play racquetball. And
Hmm.
dude, the better people get at racquetball, the less they move.
Yeah.
You know? So you just kind of ride it like that. And really my goal is talk to my wife today about this. My goal is that, in another 5 years, I'm not breaking my body for other people. I'm
Hmm.
just doing it for myself, working on my own projects, doing my own thing,
Yeah.
chasing adventures. And I've gotten writing big enough that, or it's a big enough part of my, sustenance that I can kind of rely on that because I can do that and be totally physically broken down.
Hmm.
And like, what's worst case scenario is, I get to retirement age. There's not going to be Social Security.
Yeah.
I doubt there will be. If there is, it's not going to be something I can fully rely upon. And I'll have to do what millions and millions of other people do, which is find a way.
Yeah.
But at least when I'm the greeter at Walmart, I can be thinking about catching gators or, being in Oregon hunting turkeys or,
Yeah.
climbing out of a valley by the Rio Grande with an aoudad ram on my back and dodging a rattlesnake or watching my kids catch an alligator or hear their first gobble or, standing on the Crow reservation with, the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, because we're going on like this weird, cool Western adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, when I was a kid, man, and I played music, you'd hear that stuff about like live fast, die young. And I never bought that. I always knew that that would be cheating myself out of the longevity that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't buy that try and protect yourself to no end, because I don't think it's possible.
Damn. What do you think people get wrong about pursuing passions then? Because I feel like I've been lucky enough to just keep surviving off of pursuing passion, and I'm leaning more and more and more into the actual passion side of work, not just doing the work for money. What do you think most people get wrong about that? That's allowed you to do it in all the ways that you have, from cooking to chasing critters to living a life fulfilled with your family.
I think people mess up because they think that they can't be an artist. And I use artist as the broad stroke, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they can't be a musician or a painter or, a cook or whatever, or filmmaker, whatever it is, unless that's how they make all their money.
Mm.
All right.
Mm.
Honestly, a lot of times when you're trying to make all your money off that stuff, that's where you start
It kills
compromising
it.
your ideals. So,
Yes.
like, and look, when I do a piece, like I've got editors, right? Like I've
Mm-hmm.
pitched stuff and sometimes they say they want it and they don't. And I go through periods where like I can't get a yes from an editor to save my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, dude, I was there. Like this February, man, I couldn't get a yes to save my life, and I hadn't for months.
Yep.
And I had this idea for this like turkey hunt, deep south examination of race relations piece I've been wanting to do for 2 years, and I've been trying to sell it for a couple years and couldn't do it. And I talked to my wife about it, and she was like, "You have to do this." She's like, "We'll
Mm-hmm.
figure it out." And so like I sold, t-shirt pre-orders, and I hauled scrap metal, and I, you know, took on odd jobs and got enough to go to some of the places, and man, was trying to get to North Carolina and couldn't. Like I had enough money to get home, and that was it. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
enough money to get home if I didn't supersize a meal on the way back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, that's what I did. And then on the drive home, dude, I was able to I talked to some an editor, and got was able to turn that into an article for like a dope publication, and I get paid more than I'd ever been paid on a written piece before.
Damn.
And it's just like, now, I mean, it ain't enough to live on for the rest of my life, but I'm just saying, magazine articles they can really vary from
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
hundreds. I mean, you're getting paid very little per word, right? And then I was able to push for more words, not because I was trying to get paid more, because I had more to say. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a book in there, man. It's gonna be a book, and I'll write the book whether I got someone who tells me on the front end they're gonna buy it or not,
Yeah.
because it's something that I have to produce. But what I've seen in my life is like when I bought that old church and turned it into a duck lodge, or when I started doing these hunts, where it was a combination of like hunting, started with like hunting waterfowl and processing and cooking, and this mix of like kind of hot cuisine and this tactile blue collar work ethic and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I did that stuff because I thought it was cool. And when you do stuff that you think is cool, other people will be drawn to it. The whole
Yeah.
idea of like the most personal thing you can do, the more personal, the more universal.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got to do the dance of being foolhardy and being practical,
Yeah.
and like my family helps keeps me grounded, because I would lean too hard probably into the foolhardy sometimes. Uh, but like I'm willing to run it all into the red, and then I gotta
Figure out
take
how
a
to get
break and
out.
get us back in the black, But
Yeah.
it's you just have to accept the absurdity of the uncertainty, because that's really what life is anyway. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a bunch of stuff you can't control. What I can control is my effort trying to stay optimistic, who I surround myself with,
Mm-hmm.
being willing to be self-analytic. I dance with all the same self-aggrandizing, fooling myself bullshit that everybody else does, but I try and look myself in the mirror and being like, you're messing around. You're
Mm-hmm.
messing around too
Mm-hmm.
much. Like I knew at the end of Gator season last year that I needed a break from beer. Not because I've never felt like I was an alcoholic, and I didn't feel like it was affecting me, like the alcohol was making me. Uh, I didn't feel like it wasn't like I was missing jobs or anything like that. I
Yeah.
just felt like I, I just felt bloated.
Yep.
I felt a little bloated, like I felt bloated physically, and I felt bloated with this routine
Mm-hmm.
of like drinking these cold beers, and I just wanted a break, and so I took a break, and I haven't, now I've resolved that, into Gator season this year, I'm going to drink a cold beer on a hot day, and treat
Yeah.
it like a treat, or when I get to, I'm like, man, I'm chasing what I want too much, and I need to
Mm-hmm.
lean in to making some money and getting us a little bit of a safety nest,
Yep.
and so I just kind of do that, and I'm married to a rad lady, and we balance each other out, and we call each other on our own stuff, our own bullshit, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, the, the goal is not to have it figured out. The goal is to stay in the arena, so to speak,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you're not going to have it figured out.
I
And
think
once, and
that's
if
the
and if I did, I would probably lose the motivation to keep trying, right?
I think that's the thing. Like I feel like I'm like always trying to have the answer. I want to be in control of it all so bad. And it's just and I'm realizing the more I talk with people, the more that I'm like, I don't think you get to be in control of it. I think you get to just ride it out, and as long as you can like stay motivated and stay excited about life and still feel like it's all worth living, then you're probably on the right path.
Man, and I've reached this point in my life, which is I've got like on my wrist, I got the word contentment tattooed like
Mm,
23 years ago because I just felt so permanently discontent. Because to me, that was the goal. And I would not say that I've reached this like Zen Buddhist state of contentment, but I could tell you right now that I like my life.
yeah.
There's some stuff that could make it easier,
Hmm.
but like I like my life. I think I have a good life. I think I live a good life. I think I flatter myself to think that I'm, pretty, trying to be a good person.
Yeah.
And man, that's winning. Like if you can be there, dude, like that's a win. And dude, in 6 months you might talk to me and I'm just like, but like I feel that way right now. And so I'm going to allow myself to feel that way.
Mm.
And then when I feel the scale starts tipping, I'll make some adjustments.
Yeah. So then, I mean, this will be my last question for you. What's like a piece of advice or something that you know now that it's taking you this long in your life to get to that you wish you could have had when you were younger? And obviously, I'm not asking like if you regret the things that you have done, because I don't think I mean at this point you're like stoked on the life that you get to live, and it required all of the other things to happen in the past to get you to that point. But what's like a lesson that you've learned, or like a key takeaway that you wish you could have had for like younger version of yourself, or just for other people that are that want to chase it but they just don't know how to, where to begin, what to do, like what kind of mantra they can carry with themselves to be able to actually pursue it.
Um, so I think that, and I want to be careful when I say this because one of the things I really lament about what I see a lot is a disregard for other people. You know, people driving in an inconsiderate way,
Hmm.
not putting your shopping cart back in the corral, playing music real loud, like the imposition, you imposing yourself on others, because that's something that's a big deal to me. But I would say that, so take that on one hand with a grain of salt. But I would say that my biggest failings in life have really all come from being preoccupied with what other people will think of me. Now, I have people in my life that I value their opinion and respect them so much, and I want them to be proud of me and look at me as a person that they respect. But not doing things because I'm afraid of failing or being made fun of, and that's from like being a little kid to like being a 30-year-old man or something, right? Like ultimately you're dealing with that same sort of feeling. Like you don't want people to make fun of you. You don't want people to say you're a loser, you're not cool. And I'm not immune from that feeling, but all of the coolest stuff I've ever gotten to do, the raddest experiences, the like take a breath and look around stuff came from me doing something that I thought was cool and that other people thought was weird. Or a bad decision or foolhardy.
So it's really just leaning into who you think you want to be and pursuing that.
Yeah, and just resigning yourself to making constant course corrections until the day you die. Sometimes there'll be big turns, and sometimes it'll just be like keeping it between the mayonnaise and the mustard, right?
Yeah. Is there anything you are looking forward to most right now? Like any projects, anything?
I mean, yeah, just like immediate stuff like that. Like not to get too esoteric about like, the adults my children grow to be. Like, I'll tell you this, I'm nervous and excited and trepidatious and stoked about gator season this year. I'll be down there in Texas, and if I'll lose my ass or if I'll break even or make a couple dollars and catch the gators I need to, and clients having a cool experience and all that stuff.
When do you open up that hunt?
So, I mean, we start September 10th, and depending on when this comes out, there are still a few spots available. And all that stuff's at the website. But man, I'm gonna write this book, and I think I'm gonna write this book that's been rolling around in my head for several years, but I think I'm ready to write it, and this is just kind of weird, but I want to record an album. I want to write an album of songs and record it. And I just want to do those things, and I want to do them in a smart way that, can hopefully have some legs. But
yeah,
like if I record an album and I press 100 copies on vinyl, and the people who love me and a few weirdos find me, and then my kids listen to it in 40 years when I'm dead, like I put something into the world. Same thing with the book. But I think that book will do some stuff. I think it's, but if it's like a vanity pressing, then it'll be a vanity publishing of a book. Just mean vanity pressing, just mean doing it.
Yeah.
Printing your own book, right?
Yeah.
And I'll still have put something into the world that matters to me.
I think
it's contributed to the zeitgeist.
And it'll be something that lives on forever. I think is the thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I've been shooting film photography because of that, and just like documenting people that I think are interesting, and I'm gonna make a film photo book because I'm like, I just want to make something that lives on beyond me, make a change. Hopefully somebody gets inspired, listen to something that I make, or watches a film that I make, or see some photography that like brings out something in someone. And I don't know why or what it is that I think some humans are really drawn to that desire, but I'm right there with you with wanting to leave something behind.
That's cave painting, right? That's some dude did that on a cave, or some lady did that on a cave, right? That's why, like, when we were at camp last year and I called you out and you were talking about, like, you do one for them and one for you. I was like, nah, dog. That's, that's, dude, there's this book I read. It's like a book for young adults. I read it 30 years ago, probably, called My Name is Asher Lev. And I don't need to go too deep into it, but like this kid was like drawn to being a painter and he wanted to make this painting and he had this like mentor and he was afraid of how people would react to this painting. And so he didn't want to do it. And man, that his mentor leaned into him. And he said, if you're not making this work that you're called to do because you're worried about someone else's reaction to it, like that's the definition of being a whore. Right? And like, I'm not maligning anybody's circumstance or what they choose to do, or, you know, but like, I'm not talking about prostitution. I'm talking about just the idea of compromising yourself.
Yes. Yep.
For outside gain.
Yep.
And, you know, I think there are people that can do both. I'm not well suited to doing both. I'm well suited to being me. Whatever the good and bad of that is. That's what I'm well suited towards. And I think sometimes we make excuses for ourselves that, oh, well, we make excuses to justify our own compromises. I constantly am trying to wonder, am I making a compromise for this? You know, dude, is it really important to have a piece of cake at your kid's birthday, or am I making an excuse for the fact that, you know, I need to lose weight, right? That I like to eat pancakes.
Yeah.
Right? And am I putting a romantic spin on it because I like pancakes? Because I like pancakes. I like pancakes and fried pork chops more than anything on the planet to eat. And, you know, I've heard they're not the best things for you, especially once you've reached, you know, middle age.
Yeah.
But see, and again, man, like I'm kind of backtracking because I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't fucking know, Kenny.
Yeah.
I think I have a handle every once in a while, and I'm really not qualified to give anybody advice on anything. I'm a fucked up, frail mess, just like everybody else. You know, at least I admit it, though. I guess is, you know, I appreciate that about myself. I'll admit it, and then, you know, I just lean into stuff. I've done stuff enough that I'm like, man, I can get through it. I might look like a fool, but I can get through it. You know,
Yeah.
And then once you do it, you've done it.
Yep.
And that can't be taken away from you.
Yep.
You know, I might be scrubbing toilets, which I think there can be nobility in. I might be scrubbing toilets at 80 years old, man, but they're not going to take away the things that I did that made me feel good.
Yep. But I think that's the difference is also you can own that because you chase the things that made you feel satiated in life.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think that's the gap I'm trying to fill with my own life. And I feel like part of this journey of like documenting people choosing to live life the hard way, doing things for themselves because they enjoy it, is like the cheat code. And having these conversations is a cheat code because then I can like pull little things from people that I'm like, okay, I see how they're doing it. This is where I need to change my mindset. This is how I should pursue things. And at least I'm hoping.
Dude, you're perfect. That's super smart. That's how dude, look, I've been rattling off. People love talking about themselves and they love talking about the stuff they're passionate about. And I've done that my entire adult life. Is I find someone who's good at something and I ask them about it. And most people respond to genuine interest from another person.
Yeah.
Right? Like they can tell if you're being authentic, and then, you know, that jazzes them up, and then they want to engage in that. And I mean, I think it's a good idea. It's my pod, you know, I do this podcast, man, and it's totally a selfish pursuit because I want to have these conversations with people that I think are interesting or fascinating. And dude, like think about this. I do use this as like a balm. Is I'm really not into this kind of American ideal of cult of personality. Like I I'm not paying to go get an autograph from anybody ever, right? But anyone that you've studied or read or admired or appreciate their work and all that stuff, you appreciate someone who took chances and bet on themselves and believed in themselves and was willing to fail. It's not someone who towed the line for 50 years and
Yep.
sold conservative middle of the road insurance policies. And I'm not denigrating anyone who's doing that, but I you know, maybe they did that and then they went home and they wrote or they made songs or they focused on making the greatest crepe they could possibly make, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that becomes and imparts legacy. And what you're talking about is like you want some legacy, right? And
Yeah.
that's
Of
hard to
course.
say because we are
Supposed to
conditioned to
not.
have this false humility. But
Yeah.
yeah, I want legacy, and I'm constantly afraid.
Yep.
And like things can be one thing and another.
I want legacy and I'm constantly afraid. I think that is that's like the
Yeah.
exact perfect statement.